Charmander, what's going on? What kind of direct could we be talking about here? A mini? A partner showcase? Wait, hold on. So you mean to tell me that the full-scale Nintendo Direct Drought is about to end? Charmander, grain of salt or no, you need to get the revisions ready. Our revised predictions for an August Nintendo Direct to end the drought. Welcome everyone, this is Honest Restart, and this time we're getting into our revised predictions for an August Nintendo Direct. Now the reason these are going to be our revised predictions is because we had predictions back in July for a Nintendo Direct then, and we thought that Direct would be the Direct to end all droughts. We thought that was going to be Nintendo's big E3-like Direct, where they would talk about a whole bunch of things for 2020 and beyond, but as things turned out, while we did get a Direct, the rumors were true, they weren't for a big major Nintendo Direct, they were for just a Nintendo Direct mini partner showcase. A lot of fans were disappointed, some were happy about Shin Megami Tensei, but the point is, it was a very small scale presentation that just had a few different games, and it wasn't even really talking about things to come this year or beyond. It was just, well, yes, beyond. A couple things beyond, that was pretty much it. Anyway, the point I'm getting at here is that now we are getting rumors from reliable sources of another Direct. Will it be another Direct mini partner showcase? Potentially. Will it be a Direct mini? Potentially. But from what I'm hearing, from what's being suggested, I think it's going to be something a little bit bigger, something that may outline what's to come for the rest of this year. Finally, the holidays are coming, and Nintendo may actually talk about their plans for the holidays, and potentially beyond. So we're going to be revising our predictions a little bit, and talking about what could be happening in this rumored Nintendo Direct that could be coming next week. Now before we jump into things, I want to quickly talk about my social media. There's a Twitter page, a Discord community, a Patreon page, and a Twitch channel. If you are interested in any of that, check it all out, it's linked in the description below. Now if you've been following the Nintendo news lately, or at least this channel, you probably have heard some discussion about a Direct happening at the end of this month. Jeff Grubb from VentureBeat is saying there's another wild card, the first one being for the Indie World Showcase. This one's going to be happening at the end of the month. But there's also been a lot of talk by other leakers on Reset Era, like Captain Tsubasa and Nate Drake, saying that the Mario Remasters will be announced really soon, and potentially coming out even in September, which would mean an announcement would have to happen this month. And if that's the case, well, you gotta think there's gonna be either like a Mario Direct or some sort of announcement soon. Maybe even a full-scale Nintendo Direct. And considering that we are now approaching the 1-year anniversary for the September Nintendo Direct of 2019, the last full-scale Nintendo Direct, you gotta think that sooner or later, that drought will end, and we will be getting a full Nintendo Direct soon. In fact, actually, Nate Drake on Reset Era is saying that, from what he's understanding, or his impressions, his guess, his educated guess, is that it will be a full Direct. Now, that's his educated guess, this is based on inside information, we don't really know, take it with a grain of salt for sure, but I'm also thinking that maybe it's about time we get a full-scale Nintendo Direct. The only other game we know about for this year is Pikmin 3 Deluxe. I want to point out for like the a millionth time if you've been watching my videos, that Paper Mario the Origami King came out on July 17th. And Pikmin 3 Deluxe will be coming out on October 30th. That will be more than a 3-month window between two different major Nintendo games, and one of them is a Wii U port. Point is, I feel like that's not enough content from Nintendo. If you look at the way Nintendo releases content, it's usually a little bit more than that. Even during this slow year, we've been getting more than that. So I gotta think that something else is coming before Pikmin 3 Deluxe, or at least some announcements will be made to come out shortly after Pikmin 3 Deluxe. That's what I'm thinking. Keep in mind that October, November, December are the holiday months, that those are the biggest months of the year in terms of sales usually, especially November. Something else has to come really soon. And then there's a history of Nintendo Directs following up the Indie World Showcases. It's happened multiple times. It doesn't always happen immediately, but there has been a history of it coming soon after. Even this year, when we got the Direct Mini back in March, there was a World Showcase for indie games a week beforehand. So I am thinking that this Indie World Showcase that we just got could be hinting at a Direct as well. And on top of all of that, we've been getting a whole bunch of listings lately for a whole bunch of things for the Switch. Prince of Persia Remasters, Kingdom Hearts, Metroid Prime 4, Breath of the Wild 2, Skyward Sword HD, No More Heroes HD. There's a whole bunch of different things that are coming up in different listings, some of which are sites or distributors who have leaked other things in the past. For example, WTNT, who has put out the Breath of the Wild 2 Collector's Edition listing, also leaked the Witcher 3 port for the Switch, which a lot of people thought would never happen. So the point is, there does seem to be a lot of evidence pointing towards some sort of announcements coming really soon from Nintendo, and now I'm thinking it's gonna be a Nintendo Direct. Maybe it's not a full-scale Nintendo Direct, maybe it's a mini, maybe it's a partner showcase. That's possible, so take it with a grain of salt, but for fun, and because I think there's a decent chance, I'm gonna be predicting for a full-scale Nintendo Direct at the end of August. So assuming this is an actual full Nintendo Direct that will be ending the drought of full Nintendo Directs, what are my expectations here? Well, the first thing I'm expecting is Mario. It's Mario's 35th anniversary in September, and I'm at least expecting an announcement by this point. I'm hoping for a release in September, but yes, we're already towards the end of August. It's seeming fairly unlikely that we'll be getting something in September, but I'm holding out hope for the Mario Remasters to come out then, given that it's the 35th anniversary, and also given that the window between Paper Mario and Pikmin 3 Deluxe seems too large in my opinion. Nintendo doesn't usually go 3 months without some sort of major release, so I'm thinking that there's going to be some sort of surprise announcement for the Mario Remasters to come out then, and we'll be seeing an announcement for the Mario Remasters during this Direct, and potentially more stuff about Mario's 35th anniversary. Maybe they'll talk about a few other things outside of gaming, but I'm going to focus mostly on gaming here. One other thing I definitely expect beyond the Mario Remasters would also be 3D World Deluxe, so it wouldn't shock me if we also get a trailer for that, but I don't expect that game to come out this year, assuming the Mario Remasters are coming out sometime soon within the next couple of months. I'm thinking 3D World Deluxe will come out early next year, maybe around January. That makes a lot of sense to me. Back in January 2019, we got New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, so it wouldn't surprise me if we get another Mario game like that this next January for 2021. But Mario's 35th anniversary isn't the only major anniversary that's around the corner. Zelda's 35th anniversary is also coming really soon as well, this February actually, so it's only a few months after Mario's anniversary. And I feel like it's worth noting that the Zelda franchise has grown. Breath of the Wild is actually outselling Mario Odyssey, so what that suggests to me is that Nintendo also wants to push Zelda. They've been trying to push Zelda, coming out with Zelda games nearly every single year, so I think there's going to be some sort of celebration for that as well. And considering that we've gotten multiple listings for Skyward Sword, and there have even been some leakers like Captain Tsubasa suggesting it's coming really soon, I think Skyward Sword HD makes a lot of sense, especially because it's the game that's used for anniversaries. It was used for the 25th anniversary, and it's the beginning of the Zelda timeline in terms of story here. It wouldn't shock me if Nintendo ties in Skyward Sword HD to some extent for Zelda's 35th anniversary. But we also have the listings for Breath of the Wild 2. You gotta think Nintendo's gonna talk about that game sometime soon, because they revealed the game back at E3 2019. That was well over a year ago, but it's also worth noting that this is a sequel, so it doesn't take as long to make as the base game. But on top of that, this game started development back in 2017, so even if the game doesn't come out this year, which I think for most people it's pretty much a foregone conclusion, it still should probably be shown off. So if this Direct is gonna be the E3-like Direct, or the E3 Direct replacement, Breath of the Wild 2 will probably be shown off, especially considering these listings. If these listings are legitimate for a collector's edition for Breath of the Wild 2, it really wouldn't surprise me if we get a really in-depth look of this game, actual gameplay. They tell us the release date, they give us the title, and they talk about collector's editions. Maybe this game is coming out fairly soon, maybe this March for the actual Zelda anniversary. It would only be a month after February, so I think that makes a lot of sense, and that would also be the 4-year anniversary for both the Switch and Breath of the Wild 1. So that really wouldn't surprise me. I think something like that could be in the cards here. And in terms of Skyward Sword HD, how that could relate, well, maybe we get Skyward Sword HD for this November. Maybe that's a possibility. Maybe it's another remaster to close out the year. If the Mario remasters are coming out this September, then there has to be something for November. Skyward Sword HD, while it would be another remaster, I think it would be a really good one that people would be excited about. So I think there's a possibility there. Now, maybe we don't get Skyward Sword HD this year. Maybe it comes towards the actual Zelda anniversary. That's a possibility, which would then suggest that Breath of the Wild 2 is a little bit further off. That also is a possibility. But considering the listing for the Breath of the Wild 2 Collector's Edition, I'm inclined to think that it's sooner than later, but we'll have to wait and see. Going beyond Zelda and Mario though, what else could we be seeing? Well, we haven't gotten any updates on Bayonetta 3 in a very long time. Even if the game is not coming out this year, I feel like maybe it's about time to start talking about this game, so it really wouldn't shock me if we see Bayonetta 3 finally. And since we're already talking about second-party, third-party relations here for Nintendo, because Bayonetta isn't 100% Nintendo, it's made by Platinum Games, I think we should talk about other third-party stuff as well. Nintendo's also publishing Bravely Default 2, that's supposedly still slated for 2020, so maybe it's announced for October or December That makes a lot of sense. Doom Eternal for Switch is also slated for this year. It really wouldn't surprise me if we see that finally during this Direct. And also, we've been getting listings for Prince of Persia Remaster, as well as Kingdom Hearts, so maybe we see those in this Direct as well. And No More Heroes 3 is also still supposedly slated for 2020, so even if it doesn't actually make it out for this year, given the whole pandemic situation, I really think it's probably about time to start talking more about that game. It's been teased throughout the year by Suda51, so I think that's probably happening. We'll see a little bit more of this game during this Direct. But on top of that, No More Heroes 1 was rated for Switch, so given that it was a rating and not just a listing here, I'm placing a little bit more emphasis on that, because if a game is rated, that means it's being prepared for actual audiences here, so I'm thinking this is real and it's coming to Switch fairly soon, and we may see an announcement for it during this Direct. Considering that it's a pandemic year and where we're at the year at this point, getting the Mario Remasters and a Skyward Sword HD, Bravely Default 2, and Pikmin 3 Deluxe to close out the year, I feel like would be pretty good on top of some of the third-party stuff we've already mentioned, so I'm not expecting too much more for 2020. It's possible that instead of Skyward Sword HD, Nintendo has something else for November. Maybe it's Metroid 5, supposedly that's been in the works for a while already. Maybe it's Prime Trilogy HD, supposedly that's also been in the works for a while already. There's also been some talk about a Splatoon game. We did have that piece of art that came out earlier in the year that may have been a tease for something Splatoon. I'm more inclined to say it would be a Splatoon spin-off if it's real or suggesting an actual game this year as opposed to Splatoon 3, because I think it's just been way too soon. A Splatoon game or a Metroid game could potentially take the place of November. That's a possibility, but I think Skyward Sword HD would probably have the most selling power, so maybe that comes out then. Either way though, if this is an actual full Nintendo Direct, they're going to be talking about things that go beyond just 2020 here. They will be talking about games that come out in 2021, and they'll be bringing in other Nintendo franchises like Metroid, like Splatoon, maybe something else, maybe F-Zero, but that's more of a pipe dream at this point, not really an expectation. But let's focus a little bit on Metroid here, because I feel like we have to get some sort of Metroid news really soon. Earlier in the year, when Paper Mario was revealed, they did have that whole Samus helmet at the end. People thought it might have been a tease, I thought it might have been a tease. Was it actually a tease? Well, I don't know. If something Metroid is revealed this year, maybe, but it hasn't happened yet, so we'll have to wait and see. But considering that Prime Trilogy HD has been long rumored, Metroid 5 has been long rumored, and I believe it's being developed by Mercury Steam or some sort of Fusion remake, and that Metroid Prime 4 has been long in development at this point, something has to be shown off fairly soon. Let me point out that we have already gotten a listing for Metroid Prime 4. Now, I'm not saying Metroid Prime 4 is coming out anytime soon. If Metroid Prime 4 somehow came out for October this year, that would just be insane, mind-boggling, and I just don't think it's gonna happen. But it wouldn't surprise me though if we finally get our first look at the game, a little bit of a teaser, some gameplay, or just like an idea of what this game is. That wouldn't surprise me. If this is gonna be like the full Nintendo Direct to replace the E3 Direct for this year, then teasing something that's to come a year or beyond that makes sense. They did that with Breath of the Wild too, so why couldn't they do it with Metroid Prime 4? I think there's a possibility of that. Fans have been wanting to see something about this game since 2017. We are now in 2020. Yes, I understand they restarted development, but still, if they've been developing the game for over a year at this point, they might be able to show something off. So while it's not an expectation to see something for Metroid Prime 4, I think there's a pretty good chance, so I have a decent hope of seeing something fairly soon. And even if it's not Metroid Prime 4, and even if Metroid 5 or Prime Trilogy aren't coming out this year, I feel like one of those has to come out next year, and maybe even in the first half of 2021, meaning that we might see it in this Direct. Now you might be thinking that I forgot to talk about Smash Brothers, and the truth is, I kinda did because I was in a rush to get this all out recorded before work, and now I'm back here editing and I realize, oh my god, I haven't talked about Smash Brothers. Now here's the thing, I've already talked about Smash Brothers. These are my revised predictions. Leading up to the partner showcase, I had a video talking about what I thought was gonna happen, and basically what I said then was that if there's going to be a full-scale Nintendo Direct or a Nintendo Direct Mini, there will for sure be a Smash reveal. We didn't get that, we got a Direct Mini partner showcase, something even smaller. If you look at the history of Nintendo Direct Minis and Nintendo Direct since Smash Ultimate was revealed, there has been some sort of Smash announcement. I do not think this will be any different, assuming it is a full Nintendo Direct or even a Mini here. So then, assuming that's the case, what kind of character could it be? There are so many options, so many, it's kind of like pretty much almost impossible to get this one right. But this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this time around it's going to be a third-party character. I do think this second Fires Pass is going to be more Nintendo-centric, more first-party characters that are more closer to home to Nintendo fans, considering this is the second pass, they kind of need more characters that are closer to home, because as passes go on, as seasons go on for different DLC for different games, the fan base, the audience sort of dwindles a little bit, so they need to make sure that these characters are very close to home to the fan base that is still playing the game. That all said, there still will probably be some third-party characters that does still bring in a wider audience here, and I feel like the right place to announce a third-party character is where there's going to be a lot of people paying attention. Usually that would be during the E3 Direct. We didn't get the E3 Direct this year, but hopefully and supposedly this Direct will be the replacement for the E3 Direct, so I'm thinking there's going to be a third-party character. Now, who could that be? Again, so many possibilities here, but my guess, at least this time around, is going to be for Travis Touchdown from No More Heroes. Why? Well, No More Heroes 3 has been teased throughout the year by Suda51. It's still technically slated for 2020. We'll see if that actually happens. But we've also gotten a rating for No More Heroes 1. We've seen with different Smash characters for the DLC, they have been used in conjunction with a game coming out or some sort of marketing for that. There are some examples like Dragon Quest XI's, like Fire Emblem Three Houses and Byleth. They've done those things. I think something similar could happen here with No More Heroes, especially considering that No More Heroes is more of a smaller game, so I do think it's going to need a little bit more of that sales boost, that marketing there. And considering that this has been a slow year and there aren't too many big new Nintendo games, there's mostly just remasters and Wii U ports, having No More Heroes get a little bit more of a focus, even though it's not technically a Nintendo game, it's something that's close to home with Nintendo fans and it will be a Switch exclusive. I think that could be one of those things that could help to sort of fill that void a little bit, and pushing its sales potential with Smash Bros. Would make a lot of sense in terms of marketing here, I think, and it would just be a really cool character to have. Like I said, No More Heroes is close at home with Nintendo fans. Back on the Nintendo Wii, No More Heroes 1 and 2 were a Wii exclusive for many years, and Travis Touchdown is awesome, and No More Heroes is awesome. So maybe Nintendo and Sakurai and Suda51 all feel the same, and we'll be seeing some sort of announcement for Travis Touchdown in Smash Bros. Really soon, potentially in this Direct. Beyond all that, what else do I expect? Well, I expect to get something that I don't expect. It could be something amazing, something that we haven't thought about. Maybe it's Earthbound, like some sort of remaster or remake for it. Maybe it's Kid Icarus, maybe it's Donkey Kong. At some point, Nintendo's going to reuse their other franchises, so maybe we see something else during this Direct. But besides that, I haven't mentioned the Pokemon DLC. They will probably talk about that then. It is slated for November, so maybe a Skyward Sword HD and the Pokemon DLC will be enough for the November timeframe, or something else instead of Skyward Sword. That's a possibility. But that's basically what I'm sort of expecting for this potential Nintendo Direct that is still rumored, but maybe happening at the end of August, so sometime next week. But what do you guys think? Do you guys think this is happening? Do you guys agree with my predictions, or do you have different predictions? Let me know in the comments below. Anyways, everyone, this is On Just Restart. Thank you so much for listening and watching, and I'll see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.